I stared at my phone screen, the message glowing like a warning flare in the quiet of my living room. Mom, great news. We're all coming for Christmas, me, Lily, the kids, and Lily's family. Everyone's so excited. Everyone. 25 of them, to be exact. For a long moment, I sat frozen, mug of lukewarm tea in hand, as if my son's cheerful text had just rewritten my entire December. Outside, the first snow of the season drifted lazily across the driveway, blanketing the world in deceptive peace. Inside, my heart thudded with the kind of dread only a mother-in-law could understand. Lily, my daughter-in-law, was lovely in her way. Perfect hair, perfect smile, perfect at reminding me of everything I wasn't. She ran her life like a glossy magazine spread, every detail curated and polished. I liked her well enough, I supposed, in the way you like someone you can only handle in small doses. But her family? That was another story entirely. The last time I'd seen them was at the wedding, 8 years ago. I remembered the noise, the perfume clouds, the laughter that bordered on chaos. Her mother had turned my kitchen into a catering war zone, and her cousins treated my garden like a carnival ground. By the end of that weekend, my roses were trampled, and I had sworn, silently and solemnly, never again. Yet here I was, staring down the possibility of a house full of 25 guests armed with matching sweaters and holiday enthusiasm. I set the mug down and exhaled slowly. Somewhere between disbelief and panic, a thought began to form, small, fragile, but glowing with possibility. What if I wasn't here? The idea slipped into my mind like a mischievous secret. It was absurd at first, me skipping Christmas. I'd hosted every year since 1989. I'd made the turkey, decorated the tree, even tolerated the unending chorus of unsolicited opinions about my stuffing recipe. But this year felt different. Maybe it was the silence of the house since my husband passed. Maybe it was the fatigue that came with being everyone's dependable holiday anchor. For the first time, the thought of escape didn't feel selfish. It felt freeing. I glanced at the calendar pinned to the fridge, the little squares still blank for December. Empty. Waiting. The snow outside thickened, soft and steady, and I found myself smiling for the first time that day. I reached for my laptop and typed into the search bar, "Solo Christmas travel deals." The words felt deliciously rebellious. I didn't know where I was going yet, or what I'd find when I got there. But one thing was certain. This Christmas, I wasn't staying home. And as I hit search, I couldn't help but wonder, would running away for the holidays bring peace, or something entirely unexpected? The next morning, I woke to the faint hum of my phone vibrating on the nightstand. Another message from my son, James. "Mom, Lily's thrilled. She's already planning to make your place the center of everything. Don't stress, we'll handle it all this year." Don't stress. Those two words always came from people who had no idea what stress actually meant. I rubbed my temples and stared at the message. James had always been my calm in the storm, thoughtful, patient, the kind of son who remembered my birthday without needing Facebook to remind him. But since his marriage, our conversations had begun to sound more like polite updates than real talks. Lily had a way of speaking for both of them, and lately, I couldn't tell if my son's cheerful tone was his or hers. My house, a two-story colonial that once pulsed with laughter and noise, had grown quieter since Robert, my husband, passed away 3 years ago. He had been the voice of reason, the buffer between me and the chaos of family gatherings. Without him, the house felt too large, the holidays too long. Maybe that was why I hadn't protested James's plan right away. Part of me wanted to believe that hosting everyone could fill that hollow space. But the truth was simpler and sharper. I wasn't ready to play hostess to a crowd that treated my home like a stage for their merriment. As I sipped my morning coffee, I opened my laptop again, the glowing screen reflecting in the window beside me. A search tab from last night still blinked at the top. Christmas getaways for one. Dozens of destinations flashed before my eyes. Snow-covered villages in Switzerland, quiet beach cottages in Portugal, cozy cabins in Vermont. But one name caught my attention: Mendocino, California. It wasn't glamorous or far away, But there was something peaceful about the pictures. Rugged cliffs, fog rolling over the sea, little inns tucked beneath redwood trees. It felt like the kind of place where silence wasn't lonely, but healing. I clicked through the photos until one image stopped me, a small bed and breakfast overlooking the ocean. The Sea Glass Inn. The name alone stirred something inside me, like a memory just out of reach. Without thinking too hard, I began to type. A few clicks later, I had done it. Reservation confirmed. Christmas Eve through the 27th. I leaned back, heart pounding. For the first time in years, I was doing something entirely for myself. Still, a small voice whispered, "What will James think? What will they all say when they find out you're leaving?" I didn't have the answer yet. But I knew one thing. I couldn't keep being the person who said yes, when every part of me longed to say no. This Christmas, I wasn't escaping my family. I was rediscovering myself. And maybe, just maybe, that was the real gift I'd been avoiding all along. The plan was simple: leave quietly, avoid drama, and return once the Christmas chaos had passed. But life, as it often does, had other ideas. 3 days after booking my stay, I received a call from James. His voice was light at first, almost casual. "Hey, Mom. Lily was wondering if you'd need help moving the dining table before everyone gets there. We thought we'd bring extra chairs from our place." I hesitated. "Actually, James, I won't be here for Christmas." There was a silence, so sharp it seemed to slice through the phone line. "What do you mean you won't be here?" "I've decided to travel this year," I said, forcing calm into my tone. "Just a few days away, nothing extravagant. I thought I'd try something different." When he finally spoke, his voice had changed. "Different? Mom, this is Christmas. We already told everyone we're coming to your house."
"We."
The word landed heavily. I could almost see his frown, Lily pacing behind him, arms crossed, rehearsing her disappointment. "I know, sweetheart," I said softly, "but I need this. It's been a long year and—" Lily's voice cut in from the background. "She needs to leave on Christmas? Really?" The hurt in her tone wasn't fake. It was real, and somehow that made it worse. James lowered his voice, trying to keep peace. "Mom, you could have told us sooner. We've already made plans. Everyone's excited." A wave of guilt rolled through me. My thumb traced the edge of my coffee mug as if the warmth might steady me. "I didn't plan to upset anyone. I just need some quiet." He exhaled, long and heavy. "You could still come back before dinner, right? Just for a bit." "James," I said gently, "I won't be here at all." The silence that followed felt final, like a door softly closing. When the call ended, I sat staring at my reflection in the darkened screen. My decision suddenly felt less like freedom and more like rebellion. Still, somewhere deep inside, a flicker of resolve held firm. I wasn't doing this to them, I was doing it for me. That evening, I began to pack. One suitcase, a few books, Robert's old scarf. As I folded my sweaters, I found a small photograph tucked in the drawer, a picture of Robert and me standing in front of the Christmas tree years ago. He was laughing, arm around my shoulders, eyes bright with that unspoken joy of simply being together. For a moment, I almost faltered. But then I remembered what he used to tell me when life got too heavy. Sometimes, the best way to love your family is to step away long enough to remember who you are. So, I zipped the suitcase shut. Whatever waited for me in Mendocino, peace, regret, or something in between, I was ready to face it. And yet, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that this journey would bring answers I hadn't even known I was searching for. The road to Mendocino wound like a ribbon through misty hills, the ocean flashing in glimpses between the trees. As I drove, I felt the tension of the past weeks unravel, thread by thread. By the time I reached the Sea Glass Inn, the sun was dipping low, painting the cliffs in gold and lavender. It was breathtaking, quiet in a way my life hadn't been for years. The innkeeper, a woman named Margaret with kind eyes and silver-streaked hair, handed me a brass key and a smile that felt genuine. "You're in room 3, she said. "Ocean view. Most people come here to find something they've lost." Her words lingered as I unpacked. That night, I sat by the window, watching waves slam gently against the rocks. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about cooking, cleaning, or making sure everyone else was happy. I was just there, and that simple presence felt revolutionary. But peace is rarely uninterrupted. The next morning, as I walked along the fog-laced shore, my phone buzzed again, James. My stomach tightened. I almost ignored it, but guilt tugged harder. "Hi, Mom," he said, his voice quieter this time. "We're here at your place. It feels strange without you." A lump formed in my throat. "I'm sorry, James. I didn't mean for it to be difficult." "I know," he sighed. "Lily's trying, but it's different. I didn't realize how much you do, for everyone." His words caught me off guard. For years, I'd felt invisible in the chaos, just the woman behind the food, the decorations, the endless planning. Now, hearing my son acknowledge it felt like a fragile gift. "James," I said softly, "I love you all, but I think I forgot how to love myself for a while." I needed to step away to remember what that felt like. He was silent, but it wasn't the silence of anger. It was reflection. "I understand," he said finally. "I really do. And Mom, Lily wanted me to tell you she's sorry if she ever made you feel unwelcome. She just wanted everything to be perfect." A tear slipped down my cheek, surprising me. "Tell her it already was," I whispered. When the call ended, I stood at the edge of the sea, the wind cold and salt-heavy against my face. The waves rolled in and out, steady as breath, and I realized something profound. Leaving hadn't been an escape. It had been a return. I hadn't come to Mendocino to run from my family. I'd come to remember the woman who existed before the expectations, before the constant giving, before the quiet loneliness of being needed but unseen. And now, standing there, I finally saw her again. For the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. Christmas morning arrived wrapped in fog and silence. The ocean outside my window shimmered faintly, each wave dissolving into mist as if the sea itself were exhaling. I brewed a cup of coffee, wrapped Robert's old scarf around my shoulders, and sat by the window watching the world wake up. No sound of clattering dishes, no chatter, no forced laughter, only the soft rhythm of my own breath. It should have felt lonely. Instead, it felt like peace. I thought of James and Lily, of the laughter that must be filling my house miles away. For a moment, I could almost see it. The kids running down the stairs, Lily's mother adjusting the ornaments, everyone talking at once. And yet, instead of resentment, I felt warmth. They didn't need me to make Christmas perfect. Maybe they never truly had. Around noon, I decided to take a walk. The fog had lifted, revealing cliffs that stretched endlessly toward the horizon. I followed a narrow path down to the beach, the sand cold beneath my boots. As I reached the shoreline, something glittered in the wet sand, a small piece of sea glass, smooth and translucent green. I picked it up and held it to the light. Margaret's words returned to me. "Most people come here to find something they've lost." I smiled. Perhaps what I'd lost wasn't something tangible, not my husband, not my home, but a part of myself I'd quietly abandoned in the noise of obligation and grief. This little piece of sea glass, shaped by time and tide, felt like a symbol of that rediscovery. My phone buzzed again, a photo from James. The kids were holding up a sign. "We miss you, Grandma." Behind them, Lily waved from the kitchen, her smile softer, real. Beneath the picture, James had written, "Next year, wherever you are, we'll come to you." I laughed through tears. For the first time in years, the thought of them visiting didn't feel heavy. Maybe because I'd finally learned that love wasn't measured by presents, but by understanding. That evening, as the sun melted into the horizon, I sat on the porch of the sea glass and, pen in hand, writing postcards I'd never send. Not apologies, just quiet promises to myself. To live slower. To say no without guilt. To love without losing me. When I finally went inside, I caught my reflection in the window. The same woman, yes, but lighter somehow. Freer. Maybe next Christmas, I thought, I'd invite them all, not because I had to, but because I'd want to. For now, though, This quiet was mine. And for the first time in a long time, that was enough.